All right, we got to get into Backlash, though, where it was featuring the main event, the greatest wrestling match ever. And look, I made fun of it at the time when Charlie dropped that line after Edge and Randy Orton's face-off in the ring. And it has felt like a shoehorned sort of promo for this. I was stunned that this became sort of the tagline, the greatest wrestling match ever. It felt just like a fever dream. It felt like a prank, a rib. I did not understand why they were doing this to themselves. We will get into that main event in a little bit. But overall thoughts, taking what you thought about the main event out of it, what did you think of the show?
I think going into this, I think a lot of people didn't have high expectations for this pay-per-view. And once again, these, I guess you call it B-level pay-per-views outside of the big four, these filler pay-per-views in the outside other months, is I think most times the expectations are low. And I think WWE delivered past people's expectations. And I think that's a good thing, because we always like these I think most people were like, oh, here's Backlash. All right. I'll tune in some point, and catch it. But they actually did a great job. And for the most part, most of these matches were solid, very good. So to WWE's credit, maybe they do that on purpose. They're like, okay, let's keep the expectations low. And then when we over deliver, people are going to love it no matter what. So I enjoyed it overall. And just talking to some other people, they thought it was a really good pay-per-view for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a good point. Is a lot of these ones that fly under the radar, they end up delivering in a big way. And I think this one was very good. I thought Sheamus and Jeff Hardy was very good. And I hope that they continue that feud. I'm hoping, maybe we get some type of ladder match with Jeff's contract on the line or something like that. Something that suits Jeff Hardy's style to where he can get his win back and then Sheamus can move on.
Urine sample.
Yeah, exactly. I do want Sheamus to reunite with Cesaro and just reform the Bar. So that, I just think that would be the best sort of direction for the two of them right now. But I've enjoyed the Jeff Hardy and Sheamus stuff. So, outside of maybe the year in the face, it's better to be pissed off than pissed on kind of gag that, they want to do. But that match was great. I enjoyed, immensely. I thought Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship was very good. Braun Strowman getting the handicap match win over Miz and Morrison. This had some good stuff on it. If you're a Apollo Crews person, the match with Andrade, bell to bell was good, and I'm interested to see what's going on there with Angel Garza. But I just thought that there was a lot to like here, and I don't want to break down every match, but outside of the main event, assuming that is your favorite match, which it is mine, what was your favorite match from the undercard?
Yeah, Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley, just these two big, beefy dudes going at it, hard hitting, but they kind of went all over the ring and outside the ring. So listen, I know sometimes just big hitting matches can be kind of boring, but these guys, they went out there and hard hitting, used all around the facility to their advantage. And I can't stress enough, I love Drew McIntyre as champion. I think he's been hitting out of the park for the last couple months now. I was a little worried. I was like, I think they Bobby Lashley's been booked very well as well. So could they theoretically let Bobby win here and maybe give him a little title reign? Maybe Drew wins it back, maybe at SummerSlam or something. I thought, they can kind of hot potato between the two of them, but I kind of like this rivalry. And MVP, no pun intended, is the MVP of this current feud, his work so far. And, but Lana getting involved, it made sense just to kind of add more heat to their relationship. And then as we saw on Raw this week, Bobby wants a divorce now. So kind of, wow,
good.
Pulling the cord already on this storyline.
I think they are making so much good out of that. The Bobby Lashley Lana stuff didn't work out. And so injecting MVP into that situation is just a really, really smart move creatively. It's going to allow Bobby to move on from being tied to Lana. If they want to do something with Lana and Natalya, go for it. Or if, who knows, with Rusev not with the company, maybe Lana's on her way out too and going to do some fun stuff outside of WWE. Who knows? But I do think it was a good move for Bobby Lashley. But yeah, I too, besides the main event, I loved Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley's match. But let's talk about the main event. The greatest wrestling match ever. And once again, I don't think since WrestleMania 12, the WWF, WWE has ever put more pressure on themselves in a single match than this one. Promoting a match as the greatest wrestling match ever, it does harken back to the Iron Man match. Vince, I can hear it's going to be the greatest athletic spectacular of all time, and all this stuff that, just putting all this sorts of pressure. And then, as we talked about earlier in the show, AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan have that insane match on SmackDown that was so good. This had every reason to be a flop, Yeah. You've got Edge, who is his second match back in almost a decade, and you don't have the benefits of a stipulation that really lets you smoke and mirrors and stuff. And you have Randy Orton, who is one of my all-time favorites. But if there is a knock on Randy Orton, it's that a lot of times in big matches, and the biggest of matches, maybe those matches don't get out of second gear, really. And I thought this might have been the best match of both of their careers. It was. I thought they delivered so much on this. Was it the greatest wrestling match ever? No, but was it good enough to where that billing isn't just patently absurd, and that they sort of, there's a lot of egg on my face in terms of what I expected from this match, and I like both those guys. This was fantastic stuff, and I thought, with Randy using the punt to win, everything they did in this was tremendous. I'm sad that Edge got injured, but I believe that they will turn that into creative gold too, because don't look now, Randy Orton is the best heel in wrestling. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable. 2020, and the son of a bitch is back. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. One, before I forget, I definitely want to see Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship.
Yeah, put it on him.
Yeah, if Edge is out now, it sucks that he got hurt, and apparently he got injured on a reshoot. So he tore his tricep because they wanted to reshoot the RKO off the ropes, I think it was. And so it just sucks. It wasn't in the actual match. It was in a reshoot spot. But anyway, yeah, I would love to see Randy Orton top heel versus Drew McIntyre, set it up for SummerSlam maybe. But Edge, unfortunately, that he's hurt, use the time off, and maybe he can come back at the Royal Rumble or something like that. I mean, if depending on how long it takes to heal, at least hopefully be back by next year's WrestleMania. But the match itself, yeah, I was like, how do we get here? I was like, I'm trying to think in the last month or whatever in the build for this. It's like, how do we get to this point where it's being called the greatest wrestling match? And I was like, I remember Charlie just blatantly said it in one of their first.
So bad.
And I was like, I get it. She's doing her job. Someone told her, go out there and say that. But then whoever the powers that be decided we're going to make this the build as the greatest wrestling match. So Charlie went out there to lay the foundation for it, plant the seed. And then once she said that, that's all everyone talked about, and just beat it in our heads. And it just sucks. And it's like, this match was great, and it could be in the conversation as one of the top, I don't know, top 10, top 20, best matches ever. But since it had that stink around it, or the stigma of being the greatest wrestling match, I think it took away from the actual great performance, because everyone's going to just be watching this. Is this going to be the greatest wrestling match? Yes or no? Live up to the hype. And it was still an awesome match. And if it didn't have that title or label on it, I think people would have enjoyed it more for what it was, and not just immediately, give it the critique, did it live up to that name or not?
See, so, I totally get that. That's how I felt coming into it. But God, I gotta admire the balls of it now, and the fact that they did deliver such a great match. You put that match in front of a full house crowd. Yeah. The adrenaline, the atmosphere would have been off the page for it. And we do have to shout out, I love the usage of Howard Finkel and the old school MSG microphones. So that was a very nice touch. But I think creatively, now the fact that they were able to deliver on it, and you know what, maybe even if it didn't live up to expectations, that Randy Orton and his character still now can go around saying, it's a streak of creative heel genius that Randy Orton can go around now saying, I won the greatest wrestling match ever. Even though he had to use a low blow and the punt to do it, which, again, the punt is such a sick maneuver. I'm glad they brought it back, and I'm glad it looks like he's going to be using it more frequently again. At least he did on Raw as well, is that it just creatively, I think it really works. So now I've done a 180. I'm glad they attached the moniker to it because it does give Randy this latitude to go around saying that he's the greatest wrestler ever because he won the greatest wrestling match ever, and for all these things. And so one, it was a phenomenal match. So people when they go back and look at this, it was a marketing ploy, but now it makes so much more sense to me. And so I appreciate it for that fact. And I loved the build off of it. And the fact that already on Raw, the unfortunate injury to Edge, and I'm glad it's not, something with his neck, because that was when I first saw the news, that's what I was really worried about before it came out, that it was triceps injury. So he's going to be back. This is not, but Randy has the bragging rights to talk about that he killed another legend. The legend killer's back. Enter Christian. And what they did on Raw, and I know they had the unsanctioned match with Randy punting Christian again. We got to take
with some help from Ric
with
Flair.
some help from Ric Flair, the dirtiest player in the game. But what I look there is, if Christian can go, I want Randy Orton versus Christian at SummerSlam, because you have a built-in feud, not just because Christian is Edge's best friend, which he is, and Randy is gloating about ending Edge's career again, which he is that people forget Christian's first, when he got the world title in WWE, it was Randy Orton that was, took it from him on that SmackDown. That was sort of what should have been the crowning moment of Christian's career, cut short by, once again, the Viper coming in and usurping him. So you can have Randy use that history, just like they did in his feud with Kofi Kingston, to goad Christian into coming out of retirement. And then you have the legend killer end Christian's career. It would be a great spotlight to put Christian into, somebody whose career didn't get the period on the end of the sentence that it deserved. So to me, that's your main event of SummerSlam right there. And if you want to put the WWE strap on him along the way, too, to make it for the title, go ahead. But I don't even think it needs it. As Randy said, he doesn't need a WWE title to be the greatest wrestler ever right now, which is just, again, phenomenally creatively. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and I'm glad what we saw last night. I was like, once Christian is healed, but that's really a sign that he can go again. Yeah, them having one more match would be great as well, because as for anyone who's listened to us long enough, they know Christian has been on our show before, and we did talk about that with him. You and I both agree. We were very upset back in the day when Randy stole the title from him so quickly. He didn't get a long reign, but he said, you got to be patient and let's see how these things play out. Maybe he foreshadowed, knew in 2020 they were going to come back to this story.
I love the Randy Orton line that Edge should be healthy, by what did he say, by WrestleMania 2029?
Yeah.
It's so good.
But I thought Christian and Randy Orton's rivalry back in the day was great, and it really, Randy Orton got some great heat because, Christian was so over as a babyface and won the title, and we were so bummed to see him lose it to Randy Orton, who's being a dick. So, it writes itself.
And then Christian turned heel, which, flipped the whole thing on its head. But you can just use the bones of that old story to rekindle it here. It's playing off that realness. It's been so long in the making now. Randy Orton, all of a sudden, again, on another level, and it's exciting to see. It's great for wrestling to see him in this spot and doing so well with it. And what was it, the greatest wrestling match ever? Actually, maybe not, but it was a really, in looking at it, creative stroke of genius. I was wrong. I don't know if this is what they were planning on the whole way, but it was some good stuff.
But I will say this, like, for the match itself, like, it was almost 45 minutes long. I enjoyed it. It was very hard hitting, and there was some technical stuff, but there was also some high spots involved. So it was very diverse type of match.
I love the psychology of them both going at each other's weak points too. And commentary should be commended for pointing that out too. That not only was Randy going for Edge's neck, but Edge was going after Randy Orton's shoulder joints and everything like that, knowing that he has had those issues in the past.
And also, like, not to go back to AJ versus Daniel Bryan, that match I thought was very technical at times. Not as much high spots that I wanted to see, but I saw a lot of people compare that match to like something you would see in New Japan, very hard hitting but technical. But I was think about this, like the last like 24 hours, like which one did I enjoy more in the last 2 days? And like my gut is like I think I kind of lean more towards Randy Orton and Edge, just because while it might not have been as technical as Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, but like the story that they were telling was more compelling, and it was just more hard hitting, and some of the more high spots kind of got me more engaged, and like the more of the false counts. And even I don't know, but ask you this as well: did you enjoy them using other people's finishers as well
Yes,
throughout the match? Okay,
I did. Well, I liked it because, it made total sense that Randy Orton would use the pedigree because of his long tutelage with Triple H. And, for me, one of Triple H's greatest rivals always will be The Rock. So the Edge coming right back with the Rock bottom, it almost felt like it was Triple H and The Rock back in the ring with one another again. It was kind of interesting in that fact. I didn't think that they overdid it. If I had any quibble, I didn't like the Edge kicked out of 2 RKOs because the RKO has been one of the most protected finishers in recent memory, and I like keeping it protected. I was fine with him kicking out of 1. I didn't really care for him kicking out of the second one, especially there was no delayed cover. So that's a minor quibble. I really, really enjoyed this whole thing. I loved even just how Randy Orton got busted open from the headbutt. Just everything. With him grinning, too. Randy Orton delivered on all fronts, as did Edge in this match. It was phenomenal stuff. So I'm excited now to see where it goes next. I hope Edge can exceed expectations in his recovery. I thought Randy Orton's promo on Raw the next night was phenomenal, talking about how Edge was in some godforsaken hospital being operated on. Just, whoo. And Christian nailed it, that Randy Orton is a son of a bitch, and he is a great son of a bitch.
And also remember Randy Orton had Edge on the table, the announcer table, and like whispered in his ear, like, "I'm gonna kill you, mother effer," or something. Like the camera barely picked it up.
Yeah,
but he was like being sadistic and like whispering in his ear. And then what he did to Christian the next night, where he punted him and he was like telling the medics, "Get him!" Or no, he beat Edge and he says, "Go home now to your kids."
Yes.
And then we did the Christian. He's like, "See what you did? If if Edge didn't do that, like he's connecting all the dots together. It's like he's blaming them for his actions."
Randy Orton is at the apex creatively too, not just the apex predator, but he is. They need to run with this ball. So I hope they do that. And so overall, really enjoyed Backlash. Love the follow up to Backlash.